Broadcasting from the basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
Hello, Iona College. Welcome back to the WICR Morning Show. We're back in action with Ken Reichman.
Yeah, and I know I was late, but you have to turn my microphone on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's that's maybe a little punishment. Get here on time next time,
right,
Ken.
fair enough.
Get here on time. And,
all right, well, now I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm here to help our listeners because I'm sure that you guys have been feeding them baloney all morning.
Oh, well,
so why don't you tell me what exactly was the highlights? What were the highlights?
Well, here's
of the
thing.
first half?
I feel bad because I promise our listeners this isn't going to be an all sports morning show.
That's why I'm.
We've talked all sports up to this point.
Fair
so
enough.
if you don't have any interest in sports,
now, I mean, you said
Cold cuts
bologna.
now.
I like salami, so I mean.
is that a good breakfast meat? I was gonna say you got
bologna is
bacon,
either,
you got ham. I don't see much bologna going on for breakfast. We're breaking down meat.
We are breaking down breakfast
on the morning show.
All right, so let's give me the first half highlights, then I'll come in clutch.
Talking about the Dolphins.
Yeah, we talked a little Dolphins,
Little Falcons.
Me and Armand.
Day for that boy.
Armand's
Right
wearing
over
his Dolphins jersey. I've got my Falcons one
It's a
on.
beautiful jersey, isn't it? A beautiful jersey.
It is.
That is pretty jersey. I like that. But the Falcons jerseys that they wore yesterday, the red ones.
Oh yeah,
those are pretty.
Those are gold.
What was I gonna say? No, Moreno had a heck of a day.
Do you know
in the
Sean?
backfield? I don't know him personally, but
I know it's a joke about his name.
He's a fan
Sean.
of the show, I believe. Listener
I know Sean.
of WICR.
Heck of a day in the backfield for him. Tannehill up and down day.
Ken,
Just about what
I gotta ask, who are you a fan of?
I'm a Giants fan.
He's a
Okay.
Giants fan.
But,
So you play tonight.
But I like football, so
Yeah.
I'm more of just a football fan. I didn't really get into football until like 8th grade.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I had,
Well, you're a hockey guy. You were always a hockey guy.
So my winter is hockey, not football. So
Understandable. Well, let me ask you this.
Understandable why Miracle's number 5.
Me and Armand and I were talking about this before, and obviously I'm sure you've heard about the Derek Jeter ceremony and everything yesterday. The thing we can't figure out is why in the
during the
world
season,
would the
or why
Yankees
during
do
he's
this
playing?
on the Sunday of the first NFL game, conflicting with
At
the
1
first
o'clock.
1
well,
o'clock
they're
game.
not stupid. They want people there. That's the only way you're gonna win a Sunday, is Derek Jeter Day. They're smart.
Yeah, but
It's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, but I mean,
probably the only baseball team in the nation to sell out a game on opening day.
that's true. I know there's.
there's a good point.
And they
there.
were probably the only team to have a very good television viewership on opening day.
But wouldn't you want as many people as possible? I mean,
They still got them.
For me, example.
Sunday Night Baseball made the Yankees play
that would've been
last
nice.
night.
That would have been nice, but you know what? They didn't decide they were going to do it on Sunday until like yesterday. They picked it out in the morning. They were like, "Oh, Derek Jeter Day, let's go."
See, I'm really curious. I want to get the ratings for that because I'm sure
they
for the
did
first 10
phenomenal.
minutes, the ratings were unbelievable. And then as soon as 1 o'clock hit, like most
as
people
soon
like
as the
me.
baseball game started, nobody watched because that's how.
No,
people work.
even after Michael Jordan came in for his ceremony at like 12:59.
There's everybody for
At
the respect commercial.
12:59, I then switched to the NFL games, and I never switched back.
Really?
The ceremony probably ended about 1:05, 1:10ish.
Was my man Rudy there?
I think he was there.
Right,
I know
cool.
the current.
I'm going to
mayor is-
guarantee you.
Rudy's the man.
I'm going to guarantee you
That's all I
that
wanna
the
say.
Yankees did the best of any baseball team yesterday.
I would agree with that. We were saying also, I mean, the Sunday Night Baseball going up against the Broncos Colts Sunday night game. That Sunday Night Baseball
What was
game.
Sunday Night Baseball?
It was Giants Tigers.
Yeah, that's not.
There's
gonna do
probably
anything.
4 people watching.
Joy to the world.
Yeah.
No shot.
But okay, let's
Yep.
keep moving along.
All right, so we've cleared that up. What
We
did
have.
you guys say anything stupid while I wasn't here?
Did we say anything stupid while you weren't here? I mean, we did start it off with that breakfast meat thing, which was kind of an
Well, I was here
interesting
for that,
way.
so-
Yeah,
When
but
you
I
said
think that was
bologna.
the only. Yeah, I think that was the only strange.
That's it?
Yeah.
That was the
I'm impressed.
All right, Ken. So add a little perspective to the morning of our people. Give us your wisdom.
Let's hear it, Jack Dawson.
What is the mind of Ken Reichman
What's on
thinking?
the pulse of
What's
the
on the
nation?
pulse of the nation?
Well, good opening day. And
Good
I know
opening
we don't
day.
want to talk about sports all the time.
Yeah.
But I wasn't here. I didn't get anything. So give me a minute. Great opening day.
Yep.
Really, really highlighted everything that you should be looking forward to for the NFL season.
And you can tune into the Sports Vault at 11 o'clock. Big Shot Rob and myself, we will be breaking down all the college games, all the NFL games, everything you need to
Great
know.
start to the college season. Awful.
Ooh.
Also, not awful. Just great football all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
Over the weekend. So, let's move it on along.
Okay.
let's talk really quickly. Let's talk heat wave.
Heat wave.
All right.
Okay.
Over the last 4 days, before yesterday, I had been the sweatiest version of myself that's ever happened, because it has been nasty, just nasty hot.
You see, we're not afraid to expose personal.
I thought yesterday was really nice.
Yesterday was nice.
Wasn't
it
that
got
humid?
better yesterday, and today is supposed to be nice. We're supposed to be down into the 70s all week. Not that I'm looking for the cold. I mean, I am a winter guy, but I mean, I'm not looking for like extreme colds here. But you know what? We're going to be mid-70s all week, and it's going to be a beautiful week.
You see, that's why I'll never complain about it being too hot, because I dread the winter coming back so much. It could be 100 degrees every day for all
I
care.
will always.
Is anyone confused how the weather is more like
How the weather works?
June
Yeah,
right now?
it's been weird.
September, it should be like low 70s maybe.
Summer was pretty mild, and then all
It
of a
was.
sudden,
The spike.
boom,
Yeah.
hot.
What's going on?
It's all that global warming, man. Al
that
Gore
global
told us
warming.
about
All
it.
right, we're not gonna.
See, here's the thing. When I look at, if I just like ran up to Ken on the street or something, I would be like, "That's a man who knows his weather."
I
don't know. You just have that look. Like,
I know
like
it's
that's a
going
man who
to
needs
happen.
more
I don't
deodorant.
know why it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
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 And over the last few days, you would have said that man needs to change his shirt,
He needs deodorant.
and he needs more deodorant. He needs to try the
Look at all those
anti-perspirant.
sweat stains, man.
Anyway, let's talk world.
It's like a water balloon.
Let's talk world.
Thursday-
The world is big.
The world is large, isn't it?
The world
But
is
you know what?
round.
The world is also small at the same time.
Galileo, right?
Thursday is going to be the 14th. No,
No, 13th.
the 13th anniversary of 9/11.
Wow.
My parents came up yesterday, take me out to lunch and buy me things.
That was
because
nice.
They're nice people.
Get anything good?
Just Advil, really.
Oh, okay.
And a
that's-
broom.
Yeah.
That's what I buy now. That's
Advil and a
You
broom.
clean yourself with a
adult
broom?
purchase. Broom and Advil. So 13th anniversary, and they were saying that it just comes quick now, right?
Yeah.
It used to take it used to be very somber leading up to it. I mean, it still is, but it comes so quickly now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
13 years went by pretty
crazy,
fast. I still
right?
remember
Yeah,
with that. I remember looking at the TV.
Now, where are you from? I don't know where you're from.
I'm from I'm from North Shore, but I live in Portchester.
Okay, so you're close. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Armand and I mean, I grew up in Rye, Armand there, so you and I were both, I mean,
Yeah.
this was happening right in our back.
not out east, but east-ish on Long Island. So I mean,
All right, so you were a little
pretty
further
close.
away.
Yeah, a little further
Ken,
away.
what
from me.
grade were you in?
I
when
was
it
in
happened?
3rd grade. So you
You
guys
were,
were in
yeah,
was in
we,
second,
second
so-
grade. We were both in 2nd grade.
So what was your? I mean, I guess we could save some of this for Thursday, but I don't know
Yeah.
if either of you will be here on Thursday.
Probably not.
I mean, Wednesday.
Yeah, we could do this on Wednesday.
yeah.
But what was your what happened? What the school?
I
did?
just remember, like, I was in gym class, and I just remember something weird was going on because, they kind of just left all the kids in the gym, and we were all just kind of wondering what's going on. All the teachers were in their office kind of
down.
huddling together. And then my dad picked me up early from school, and at that point I knew something weird was going on. And then my mom was at home also, and then the TV was on, and then, you were young, so you don't really understand what's going on, but
Yeah.
it was a scary. I mean, you thought it was just really scary time because you're a young kid. You think there's a war going on or something like that. It was a surreal time.
Yeah, I remember I went to Holy Name of Jesus, which is like around the block, sort of, on the other side of North Shore. So I was in the classroom. The teacher never came into the classroom.
Oh.
It was a little weird.
Maybe.
And they just sent us home around like 9:30, 10.
Wow.
And I remember there was people, I was like, why are we going home? They didn't tell any of us. They just, school's closed today. It's because they didn't want to alarm like
Wow.
2nd graders.
Yeah,
about
no, yeah, of course.
What's going on here. I remember when I was coming outside, my sister was like in 8th grade. She didn't tell me yet, so she already knew. They told the older kids.
Yeah.
So I remember there's a couple of people running outside, like 60-year-old people. They were running to their cars. I'm like, what are these people running at 10 o'clock in the morning
Jeez.
for? And I get to my grandma's down the block, and I'm looking at the TV. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much everybody's reaction was, oh my God, when you first saw.
I just put on the
Exactly.
television. No one told me at that
Yeah.
point. I'm looking at Fox 5 News. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
I had never been to the World Trade Centers before they were knocked down. I'd actually never gone to the city before.
Wow,
Before that, wow.
that must have been
It was weird because I never really thought it was a big deal. And you always think, oh, I live close enough to where I can go all the time, but you just never go.
Just never go.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things. I mean, we probably don't remember a whole lot from that, like when we were around that age in 2nd grade. But that's one of those things where like people are always going to ask us, where were you do you remember? And everybody's always going to remember where they were when that happened, what was leading up to the circumstances of those things. It's one thing that just never going to escape our minds. It really isn't.
Yeah, and it was funny because that whole week and the years afterwards, your social studies teachers are telling you that's something that's going to be in textbooks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
When you're older, and it's weird being alive for something that's going to be in a textbook.
Yeah, usually everything's done in like the 50s and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're all pretty big American guys on this show. We're pretty well versed in our history and stuff like that. It's one of those things where it's just there's nothing like it that's ever happened in American history.
The only thing I would compare it to is Pearl Harbor.
That was not even like part of like. It was on us, but it wasn't at the
Manhattan's a lot bigger target than where was Honolulu.
I mean, that was in our backyard where we feel most comfortable and
it wasn't a military base.
And I mean,
it was civilians.
I mean, we were talking before, when you flip through the paper, all it is, it's terrorists here, terrorist stuff there.
And that's where I'm.
And it's sad that from that point, it's changed the world we live in.
Right.
Everything we do, it will never be the same. And I mean, we see right now the problems aren't going away. They really aren't.
Right.
I mean, Wednesday,
escalating.
The next story I believe we were going to talk about was President Obama going to address the nation on Wednesday about the plan for dealing with the ISL. The ISIS, whatever they're called.
They've got shit. Honestly, they've got the weird. I mean, let's not make too much light of it. But seriously, you can call them ISIS, you can call them ISIL, you can call them.
To begin with, so I mean, who cares?
It's pretty chaotic, whatever their name is.
I think we just sent over some Predator missiles,
Well, we've been doing that, actually, is the thing. So
sent over some stealth bombers.
President Obama today, I believe, is going to speak to congressional leaders, discuss the plan going forward for taking care of ISIS and for dealing with them. And then Wednesday, he's going to speak to the public. This is a quote from President Obama from Meet the Press on NBC. He says, "This is not going to be an announcement about U.S. ground troops. This is not the equivalent of the Iraq War." So that's, I mean, at the very least... So what is his
approach to
at the very least, it's reassuring to those who think that we're going back to war.
Yeah.
Because 13 years after 9/11, we're finally getting out of our war. So that's a very reassuring quote. Now, I hope that it's not the equivalent. I know words and actions are two different things, and let's hope that on Wednesday what he says is not the equivalent.
The only thing I don't get is how throughout the last 10 years or so, when this all started, when Bush sent them over there, is how they call it the Iraqi war. They're not really soldiers. They're more like renegades with guns. Like, they hide in holes, they hide in underground passages, and they just pop out. It's not like the old school military tactics, you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's them. I mean, we're all over there. We're using a lot of people. A lot of people have died. We're spending a lot of money. We have done a lot of things that constitute a war on our side. So it's been an Iraqi war for us because we've been over there for 10 years, 12 years, and we've spent billions of dollars and we've lost hundreds of lives. And that, in my mind,
the way I see
and in a
it,
lot of minds, is a war.
Get done because there's so many of them. They're everywhere. They're in Somalia. They're in Afghanistan. I mean, there's only so many places you can be.
Well, that was the criticism of starting the war in the first place.
There's not
there's no
single
end
target
game to it, and I know everybody nowadays is saying, "Oh, President Bush was a prophet or some sort of genius when he said if you pull out early, then everything will be unstabilized and yada yada yada," and everything was unstabilized beforehand, and everything's going to be unstable after, because we're not going to be there forever unless that was his plan. And when he started the war and was asked about his end plan, and his reaction was, "Well, I don't have one."
That's
not good.
Well, here's the thing. I wrote a paper about kind of the entire U.S. military, their whole shift in things. Since the end of the Korean War, there's been a huge shift in the type of enemy we fought. after Vietnam, we never fought a conventional type war again. We were fighting guerrilla units, but the problem was the U.S. military was trying to fight these wars with conventional tactics, and that doesn't work against a guerrilla force. The thing is that you need to kind of have a monitoring system where you're kind of providing security for that area, and I think that was the big problem in Vietnam, which we unfortunately I don't think we learned from, is we were just trying to throw all of our forces, all of our equipment, just destroy the enemy, but that's not the kind of tactics you need for these terrorist groups, these guerrilla forces like in Vietnam. And it again was kind of shown in Iraq. I mean, we changed it a little bit, but overall we were still trying to fight that same type of war, and that style doesn't work against this type of enemy. And part of it, unfortunately, I think is the weak leadership we've had, but I mean, it just, we need to rethink our shift in our fundamental philosophy in fighting these wars.
It honestly is just like Vietnam. I mean, Vietnam was how long? How many years?
Vietnam was from 1965 to about 1975. I mean, the fighting really died down.
And we've been out there for what, 11 years in Iraq? Since 2003, I think we sent over troops?
There's so many parallels between the two. There really is.
It's an ongoing war that'll never end.
I mean, and you look at how Vietnam started, and you look at how this whole thing in the Middle East is ending, there's parallels there as well. We thought we fought the enemy in Iraq, and they're regaining all the territory that we once fought for. Same thing in Vietnam.
If Obama, president in 2016, was to take out the troops, bring them back home, all of them, how do you think we're accessible for a terrorist attack then?
Well, that's what he's doing now. I mean, they're on their way out, which is good, and I think they're all supposed to be out by 2016. I don't remember the exact
something probably around that target date.
They're all supposed to be all gone, done.
Yeah, but isn't that the same thing Bush said?
Well, no. Bush said he didn't have an end plan, and then he stopped being president, which must have been nice, I guess.
The last point I have is, unfortunately, I think we're going to need ground troops to finish off ISIS. I don't think that airstrikes are going to be enough. But here's the thing. I don't want our troops on the ground as much as anybody. But the U.S. is put in a position where we're the only nation who's willing to commit ground forces. There's no other country who's willing to put their guys on the line there, which is sad because I really think we're going to need ground forces. So
is it sad? Or is it why?
I don't think anyone fears us anymore. That's the problem.
I agree. We're not feared anymore.
We're not feared.
It's good to be feared. I'm a big Teddy Roosevelt guy.
Let me
go get your piece in.
Yeah,
this is a good conversation. It's important to have these conversations.
No, it is. You're very right. I'm trying to frame it correctly.
Get your words correct, because that's one thing too. You want to definitely get your words articulately.
Like jerk. Okay. I'm.
This is hard stuff on the morning.
Words are difficult, aren't they?
Words are difficult.
Words are hard. Okay, so my reaction to what you're saying, Joe, is we're going to you say we're going to need ground forces, yes?
I definitely think we're going to need some ground force.
Now, don't you think? And like you said, we're the only country who's willing to do so.
Yep.
But aren't we also the only country that is being unmercifully attacked by these people?
No, Britain's been attacked too, though.
No. Not to the same extent.
That's true.
Well, I would say...
Why so, though, Joe? Why us?
Well, I think you just look... We're always going to be gunned for at number one.
Don't you think, though... Do you have brothers?
I do. I have one brother.
Older or younger?
Younger.
So don't you think if you camped out in his room, right, for like 14 days straight, he wouldn't one day just really get pissed off and punch you?
I mean,
because you're the older brother. And now you're in his room, and you've got your room. And he's not going to go in there because he knows you can beat him up.
So you're saying they're like this because we've been over there for so many years, since like the 90s.
But I mean...
I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know why they're like this. I'm not going to pretend to know why we are like this. I'm throwing out a theory that maybe, just maybe, we may have pushed the buttons.
Well, I mean, I understand the argument you're trying to make there, but I'm just saying, what reason would you have? I mean, it's not like the entire Middle East, everyone there is gunning for us. I mean, what? I don't know. It's complicated. It really is. I mean...
complicated is not a strong enough
Yeah.
word to describe how insane it is. It's a debacle, and there's so many things. You know, the world is just like a continuing like game, right? Like it's just a big game of risk, and what you do in turn 1 can affect you in turn 487.
Yep.
So we're up on turn 5,443, and what we did back in turn 4 is coming back, right?
Yep.
You know, it's hard to keep track of it.
It is.
But you know what? There's always something that could have been different. And we saw it in Back to the Future. When you go back in time and you change something, and all of a sudden you don't exist anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got to assume, or you've got to think that, you know, people don't just are born and go, oh, let's kill everybody. Like, that's not a thing that people are born doing. They're born, and then they watch things, and they go, well, those people are awful, let's kill them. What? Right?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, I would say it's the brainwashing element of the ISIS thing.
Right.
I mean,
and so why are they brainwashing? Where did they come from? Who started them? Like,
Well, that's
you know,
the
like,
same thing
How
that,
did their mentality get going?
I mean, last year I did a paper on Bin Laden and like his whole thoughts about like 9/11 and everything, and what they're saying is that the Islamic forces and all that, his whole thing, that they want to attack us because we were the dominant force at the time. They want to show us that we could be hurt, that our defenses are not as strong as we thought they were from his perspective. That's the thing he was trying to say. And if you remember, the whole Middle Eastern community, they were the dominant forces way back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was Crusades and all that stuff. They had empire and everything besides the Roman Empire, but so we can still be attacked, and that we're around for what, since 1776, so like 230 years. We haven't been around that long, and we just came out of nowhere, and we're the superior force in the whole world. So I mean, that's what I got out of it. That
Well, I mean,
they want to show that we could be attacked.
the interesting thing too is when the Russians, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we were the ones who funded the revolution movement there. We are the ones who gave the weapons and everything to Bin Laden and all those guys to fight off the Soviet Union.
Yeah, then they turned against us.
We enabled our future attackers
Well,
there.
don't you see what I mean now, though? That was turn 2000.
Yeah, turn 2000.
Turn 2000.
Y2K.
Now we're on turn 4. That, you know, where that turned into this. Right? It's a never-ending game. It's a never-ending twisting,
I don't
turning.
see why we can't make a buddy system, you know?
Can't we all just get along?
Can't we all
just get along?
You know? What happens if some galactic force comes and attacks us?
See, the thing is that there's great point, but the thing is that there's always going to be terrorists.
Yep.
There's always going to be terrorists.
There always has
War
been.
on terror will never end. War on drugs will never end. We're just always going to fight them.
And then the worst, Americans fight each other.
And the thing is, the only way that we lose that war, that we lose the war on terror, is by being afraid.
Yep.
And if you're
That's a great point.
And if you're afraid to travel on 9/11, you lose.
See, that's
So then they won, kind of.
that's the
We
best
are.
point Ken's made. Anybody's made on the show. I mean, that is their whole basis is fear, trying to make us change our lives, our great lives that we live every single day because of what they could do to us.
Well, I know they don't believe in our beliefs, too, with all these, well, especially the whole role of women, right? The nudity and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
but
they
let's
don't
not,
believe
let's
in the
not blame it
explicit.
on a religion. Let's
Yeah.
not-
Well, no.
See, their whole thing is, I mean, they use religion as a excuse to
Right.
do what they do.
Right, and they're in
when
no way,
really
shape,
that
or
has
form.
nothing to do with
Exactly.
anything.
Yeah, good, very good point.
That
Very
has
good point.
absolute. I mean, they just use it as an excuse, as a lame excuse. But what they do is evil, and they just try to use
Right.
religion as an excuse for
Right.
it.
There are
They're trying to find an
billions
excuse
of
out.
Islamists who are not radical.
No, yeah.
Christians who,
Who are not radical.
That's
Yeah.
why I want to help these people. I mean,
But for some reason, religion always gets thrown in a twist. I don't know why. It's just an easy excuse. I mean, it's a good point.
look, religion has been, well, and always will be at the root of many of the conflicts in
yeah.
history. It always has been, and unfortunately, it always will be. But that has been a lot for the morning show. Started off with a lot of sports.
60.
Didn't think we were going to get into much other than sports, but this turned into a nice little... Got a little bit of perspective on everything. It's good. It was a good show.
It was nice.
It was nice.
It was very nice. Very different.
Ken came in,
You're
and
welcome.
we turned into a little bit of diversity. We had a little bit of everything on here. So I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation this morning. Everybody have a great day. Ken and Spring Gonzalez will be back tomorrow. Armand will be back in studio with us on Wednesday. So everybody enjoy your day, and thank you for tuning in.